Hello, we are back for day 2 of our story, A Chair for My Mother, written by Vera B. Williams. Now, if you remember from yesterday, Rosa, her mother, and grandmother lost everything in a fire. Their friends and family had worked to help them get some things back for their new apartment, but they were still missing one very special thing that they have wanted so much. Do you remember what that one thing was? Hmm. See if we can read and find out again. The title of our book again, A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes, I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job to do. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. And here's our first vocabulary word. Do you remember diner? That's where the mother works. She works in a diner, which is a type of a restaurant where the food doesn't cost a lot of money. So when we talk about diner, we're going to pretend to eat. It's a place where we can get food. Here's our story again. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day, when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she is so tired. She falls asleep while I count the money into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into that jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often, she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts it by savings and they go into the jar. Our word bargain means something worth more than you paid for it. So you're going to save money. Sometimes we do this with our fingers to save money. We like our money. So if we get a bargain, we save our money. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take all that money and go buy a chair. That's it. That's what they've been missing. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All of our chairs burned. So did our sofa. And so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she likes the red ones. I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood 2 big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All of the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I cried, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's here. She's okay. Don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was saved too, though it took a while to find her. But everything in our house was spoiled. There's the word spoiled. Remember, can't use something anymore. It was spoiled. It was rotten. You might go like this if something's spoiled because it might smell bad. What was left of our house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny. But the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. And they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us a beautiful rug. My mother's sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware, and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we can thank you very much. It's lucky we're young and we can start over." That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to sit and take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner. And all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama, Grandma, and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On my mother's day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus down to shop for our chair. There was our word exchanged, gave one thing for another, or traded. So they gave their rolls of coin to the bank, and the bank gave them back the dollars. They exchanged them. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs, smaller chairs, high chairs, low chairs, soft chairs, harder ones too. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Little Bears, trying out so many chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was just enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. When we set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains, Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now, Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. Oh, it feels so good that they reached their goal. They filled up their jar and went to get their new chair. Now I have a question. Why do you think Rosa's mother brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner? Why wouldn't a smaller jar have worked? I wonder, why wouldn't a smaller jar have worked? I have another question. What do you think Grandma meant when she said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Bears? Do you guys know that story, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears? What did Goldilocks do in that story? I think I remember. She went to all the different places in the Three Little Bears' house and tried out all the different things. She sat in all three chairs, in Mama Bear's chair, in Papa Bear's chair, and in Baby Bear's chair, just like they did in the story. All right, friends, thank you so much for reading this book with me again today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.